Welcome to the Live Alone podcast, the podcast where two nerds who consume a whole lot of horror discuss their favorite pieces of horror media. From movies and TV shows to video games, novels, and everything in between. Because this is a spooky world, and we're just thriving in it. I'm your host, Sarah, the survivalist in your slasher friend group that will put up a lasting fight, but inevitably die because only the final girl can survive.
And I'm your host, Ian, the fearless fighter in your slasher friend group that tries to save the day but ends up dying because physical strength just doesn't win in horror.
In today's episode, we're talking about a 2023 indie horror game that has grown increasingly popular in the horror community, with perhaps a sequel on the way, Amanda the Adventurer.
I think there is a sequel though.
Oh, it's already out?
Yeah, but no, I don't think it's already out yet, but they said part 2. They have the trailer.
Yeah, so it's on the way. Okay, cool. So brief synopsis before we jump into things. What is Amanda the Adventurer about? Players control Riley, who inherits their aunt's house following her passing. Riley finds and watches VHS tapes containing episodes of an early 2000s children's cartoon, Amanda the Adventurer. And we're actually just going to jump straight into the conversation because I could not find too much trivia about this, and we also can't play Stab or Survive with a game that has a total of 2 characters, both of which are on the massive spectrums of bad and good, if we think about it. So let's just jump right into it. Why did we pick this piece of content? I think we first saw this game being played by other horror gamers on YouTube. Am I right?
Yeah, and we were like, what the fuck is this shit? Because it reminded us of Dora the Explorer.
Yes.
I mean, it's a parody of it.
Yeah.
But a horror parody.
Yeah, and it looked super eerie based off of what we've seen other horror gamers do. Not that we're horror gamers, but you know what I mean. Yeah. We thought it was very intriguing, very interesting, so we decided to not only watch other gamers play it, but also play it ourselves. And by ourselves, I mean Ian, because to be real, I love watching other people play horror games, but I can't do it myself. I freak out to another degree. I feel like I'm just too immersed in the experience at that point.
Yeah, she starts screaming and like hiding her face.
I don't know what it is about games in particular. Maybe it's just it hits too close. But let's talk about why we like this piece. First of all, I didn't even discuss this beforehand with you. Do you like this game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like this game.
Okay. As long as we're on the same page. So, I think the biggest appeal to this game for me and why I think it's really scary is that there's something about our generation, there's something about millennials where we grew up with the internet, the rise and development of the internet, and going back to it in a distorted way almost feels like a nightmare that we probably all share. Like early 2000s, the VHS, the old school cameras, the old school computers, all of that stuff, seeing it in a distorted way is extra scary because we have memory of it too.
Of using it.
So it feels weird. It reminds me of Channel 02 where there was that first season that kind of plays on that same kind of distorted nostalgia where it feels familiar and it's supposed to be comforting, but it's actually not, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, because like you put a VHS tape in and it's like completely fucking weird and it's like quiet, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
It's not like now where you can just put something on and just take it off right away. The VHS tape is playing in and you have to like get up and like physically, like you're more physically in tune to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. We were more invested, we were more involved, we were also like more experimental and learning when it came to technology. And so like it's a huge part of our developmental stages. We grew up with this, and we grew up with it during a time where we were young ourselves and just figuring things out. And so we were kind of intertwined with that culture, with that kind of technology. And so I feel like whenever I see another movie, like I saw The TV Glow as well as another example, but like whenever we see horror media lean into that type of nostalgia and distort it, it's almost like it has happened to you because it feels like part of your memory. It feels like part of your own personal experiences, but it's completely not. Like, obviously we have no personal connection to Amanda the Adventurer, but feels a little close to our reality.
Yeah, it's like you have the VHS tape and it's like it's yours. You're holding onto it.
Yeah.
And you're putting it in and you're like physically pressing. You know what I mean? Like in the game too, there was like a puzzle with a dialing the phone that spins.
Yeah.
The rotary phone.
Yeah.
So you're like, you don't see that shit anymore. Like they put a lot of like old school things in there.
Yeah, and it's a good point to think about when we're talking about horror and horror nostalgia and horror games going into the future. A lot of kids are not even kids, they're like adults at this point, but they're not going to know a lot of this stuff. They're not going to know VHS. They're not going to know what a rotary phone is, and that makes it a little bit extra special on our part. And again, we feel a lot more closely personal with it, which makes it all the more scary. Moving on to the actual plot of this game and what's so scary about that, the game is eerie. The game is unsettling and it's tense the entire time.
Because she knows what it's like. She knows what you're thinking, and it's like she acts fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like you're scared of her. It's like, is she a human? Is she a demon?
Yeah, it's a good question because I feel like there are a lot of theories about what or who Amanda is. And for context, if you've never played the game, like Amanda is a character in the game. And so she knows too much, and that's meta all on its own, right? But Amanda's also super meta. She knows what's going on in reality, which is not reality, but she also knows what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
And she's kind of speaking to you directly as the player.
If you type something, she knows what you're typing. She's like, no, that's not right. Like, how the fuck?
It's scary.
Are you typing something that she knows? Are you like talking through the TV?
Yeah, it's almost like when we grew up watching TV and say you're watching a talk show or something, and they would look at the camera and they would direct something to the viewer, and you're like, wait a second, is this person talking to me?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't know any better.
You feel it this time in this one.
Yeah, but she's like really on point with it. She's scary even though she's a child. She has like this really authoritative tone.
She don't no she does, but she's like she switches. Like she'll be all nice like the kids.
Yeah, like
all
Dora.
laughing and smiling and like joy. And then she'll be like serious, and she'll look at you and even like the simple artwork of her, like she just turns you like, oh shit, she's scary.
Even just like the movement of her eyebrows getting mean or mad, you're like, oh my god, I'm really frightened about this little this child that's not even real. And then you also get the vibe from the music. It starts to get really tense when she's upset. Wooly, who is kind of like her animal bestie. I don't know if they're besties actually, but
yeah, he's supposed to be like the moral character. And he's actually like you.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like asking her and questioning her, and she's ignoring him, and she's like, I'll do what I want, and she's like hitting him and punching him and stuff, like behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's another good part about it is that, again, talking about negative spaces, there are parts that are cut off when you're playing the game. Because it's all kind of told through snippets in a VHS form, or most of it is, and things are happening when you don't see it on the VHS, and it will cut to another scene, and you can just see the state of Wooly.
Yeah.
That something has happened to him, poor Wooly. You're like, you resonate with him the most, like you said.
Like she's cutting it off, like, you don't need to see this, but I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. And when you come back, he's on the phone, he's like, yeah.
I feel so bad for him, and his fear makes it more scary, because we connect with him so much.
And it's supposed to be like a kiddie fun time, and then they put like not adult themes, but they put like a butcher shop. So you're like a butcher shop, and he's a goat. What is he, a lamb?
He's
a
a
sheep
lamb,
or
a
something.
sheep, yeah.
And it's like a butcher shop, and he's going in there.
Yeah.
Like she does stuff. I think she's doing shit to fuck with them too.
Even just the movement, the way the music is played, everything is like a flip turned upside down on what you understand Dora to be. And so it freaks me out. Like, it unsettles me to the core. Because I feel like I've personally had nightmares like this where, you're a child and your imagination runs wild. And so you watch all of these types of shows and you end up dreaming about it. But when you're having a nightmare, it will take those things that you find comfort in and completely flip it around and become like an enemy in your eyes. And then you wake up and you're like, oh no, is Dora evil, actually?
Yeah, but it's also weird because, like, you feel, imagine you're being recorded right now. Like, where's the screen?
Yeah.
Like, it puts you in that view, like, you're, like, there's a camera right there. Like, I mean, there's a camera right there, too, and you're being recorded, but it's like,
The
What-
meta,
yeah,
the meta-ness of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like meta horror. I like self-aware horror. Well, I mean, the prime example is Scream, right?
Yeah.
But meta horror is fun because horror has like so many specific tropes that we all know and are familiar with and can get boring. But when you put the meta spin on it, it's kind of like being the
Yeah.
horror person in the situation, and
Yeah.
having that understanding makes you be like, oh, that's clever. Going back to the eeriness, the tension, the dark vibe, we're talking a lot about the experience with Amanda, and she's kind of like a game within the game. But outside of the game within the game, you're kind of in a dark room, like maybe an attic of the aunt's house that we talked about in the intro, like the synopsis. And that room is dark, and you feel like there might be things watching you. There might be things creeping up on you as you put the puzzle pieces together and figure out the story of what happened with Amanda and everything else. And that is also really scary.
Yeah, and if you mess up, this creature comes and gets your ass.
Yeah.
From the attic, the stairs, comes up and gets your ass, and you're dead.
So it feels like no matter what you do, whether you're playing the game within the game or you're just kind of browsing around the attic, you're constantly on edge. You're constantly feeling tense and that you need to kind of race through this because you don't want to get caught. You don't want to, quote unquote, die in the game and stuff like that. So it's a really, really good example of just tension and horror and in a game.
Yeah, and the puzzles are pretty cool too.
I like the
it's-
puzzles.
Like some of them, I did get lost. You have to go back into the VHS tape, see like clues come out of it. Go and there's like different stuff around the room. Like there's a microwave, like an easy bake oven kind of thing that you dial it in, you dial in temperature.
I love that they lean into like the specifics when it comes to nostalgia, like the Easy Bake and stuff like that, because they know who's playing it. They know that the millennials love to see that, and they eat that shit up. Another thing about the gameplay is that it's actually a bit challenging. It's not super simple like you might think an indie horror game is gonna be, and kind of cheesy and too easy to kind of play through.
Yeah,
But there was
it was
challenges.
hard. I was like, I got lost
We had to look it up every once in a while
because
to
I
see
kept
what
doing
to
the
do.
same thing over and over again. I was like, what am I missing? And you have to like really look at the clues. Like there's a clock with
Yeah.
the time, and then there's like numbers. Yeah, there's a bunch of shit.
It is challenging in a good way, not overly challenging, not overly easy, which is nice. And that kind of segues into dislikes, because I think there's only one dislike. You let me know if you have other dislikes, but I feel like when I was watching you play it, like one choice you make will affect the entire gameplay all the way throughout the end. And once you reach the end, you get a conclusion, and the conclusion can change depending on your choices. But once you made that choice and you get to the end, you have to replay the game all the way from the
Yeah.
beginning to to change the course.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think that's annoying in any game, right? If you change the course and then you have to do it over again to get the desired end result. But I think it's especially dislike here because it takes away from the horror. If you're playing the game 500 times in a row, it's no
Yeah.
longer scary.
Yeah,
And so
that's the one thing. Yeah, that's that I didn't like. And then I mean, it doesn't really tell you like how to do it. So I had to go online. It doesn't give you like clues to like unlock. So it's like really hard. Like it's hard in a good way that you want to. Like if I didn't go online because I was I think I was kind of trying to rush through it too, to see everything because it was like, what do I do now? I did this like 3 times, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I feel like I wish there was more of a save point,
Yeah,
the game?
so you can start from that point.
and then it would keep the tension going, and you wouldn't be like, all right, well, I anticipate this thing to come creep up and kill me now, and that's not scary anymore. And I think there was actually, in part of some trivia that I was trying to look up and research, they did have like a pause rewind type of thing, but I guess logistically it didn't work out, but I feel like that would have been better.
I think if and also if that thing, that scary shit that he's come out the stairs, if they had it like different ways, like you would do something and then you would like turn around and it would like pop up. They could have done that.
Yeah, instead of always coming out from the door, if it
Yeah.
came out from like the corners where you kind of think it would come out from.
But I guess it's an indie game, so you can't really spend that much money on it.
That's
But
true.
it was good though. It was really good.
I mean, it was really well produced for an indie game,
Yeah.
so there's that. Another, I don't know if this is a dislike because it kind of lends to the intrigue, to the mystery, to the tension, but because of the thing walking up the attic that seemed like a little monster, but then also the story that you're trying to piece together about a child maybe being abducted, or there was a corruption in the toy company, or a corruption in the media company that was picking up the show. It was kind of fuzzy to figure out exactly what happened at the end. Was it corruption and, someone got murdered or someone got taken over? Was there, like, AI involvement? It's hard to
the story.
Yeah, it was
fine. The story wasn't clear.
Yeah, the story wasn't clear, and I don't think it's going to get clear, because I went online and I went in the Reddit files, and nobody truly knows. And some people will have really strong theories, but other people will kind of dismantle those theories. So it's kind of an on and off battle as to what actually happened, which kind of means that the story wasn't super strong.
Yeah, I remember it was like they showed you like an interview with a girl, and I don't know if that was Amanda, because she was a little girl, and they used her to record the episodes and stuff. But I'm just like,
what turned her evil?
Does she have powers?
Is she a demon? Some people thought she was a demon. Is she like, were they training AI so that they turned the character of her into something evil? Yeah. What was it? We don't really know. So that kind of leaves a lot to be desired.
If you guys know, let us know.
Yeah, if you have a solid theory, let us know. But so we're gonna end things off here with a question. We always end the episode off with a question that we post also on social media at Live or Alone Pod on Instagram. It's part of a discussion post, so after or while you're listening to me right now, you can head over there and see the question. The question is, what is a nostalgic show or toy from your childhood? I think that will give us a good indicator as to how old you are. So let us know in that discussion post, and you can also find us at Live or Alone Pod on, of course, Instagram, but also TikTok and YouTube, where we have uncut episodes. And tune in next Wednesday, because we are, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we are ending off season 4.
Oh shit.
2 whole months of spooky content, and next week is Halloween. So we are going to end things off with a bang and possibly a spooky celebration. Stay tuned.
Drinks.
But for now,
we'll see you in the kitchen with the knife.